Psychoanalysing NATO, Schizophrenia, authored by Patrick Armstrong via the Strategic Culture Foundation. This is by Tyler Durden on Zero Hedge. NATO sorrowfully explains its problem with Russia on its official website. And this is what it says. For more than 2 decades, NATO has worked to build a partnership with Russia, developing dialogue and practical cooperation in areas of common interest. Cooperation has been suspended since 2014 in response to Russia's military intervention in Ukraine, but political and military channels of communication remain open. Concerns about Russia's continued destabilizing pattern of military activities and aggressive rhetoric go well beyond Ukraine. Now, none of this, of course, is NATO's fault. On the contrary, NATO is concerned that, quote, Russia's military activities, particularly along NATO's borders, have increased, and its behavior continues to make the Euro-Atlantic security environment less stable and predictable. In particular, its practice of calling snap exercises, deploying near NATO borders, conducting large-scale training and exercises, and violating Allied airspace, end quote. Suffice it to say that this statement would have a closer relationship with reality if the words NATO borders were replaced with inside Russia. I would be interested to hear the details of violating Allied airspace, quote unquote. Why even the Daily Telegraph in 2015, with a suggestive headline of mapped just how many incursions into NATO airspace has Russian military made, had to admit the Ministry of Defense says the Russian bombers have never violated Britain's sovereign airspace, which extends 12 nautical miles from the coast. Likewise, violated U.S. airspace 16 times in the last 10 days turns out to be air defense identification zones, which is not the same thing at all. Or most Russian planes intercept over Baltics due to error, NATO general. So NATO's statement needs a further calibration so that violating Allied airspace becomes flying in international airspace close to Allied countries' airspace. So you see the difference. Therefore, properly understood, NATO accuses Russia of, quote, 1, holding military exercises in its own territory, 2, flying in international airspace, 3, supporting secessionist movements in places that were not part of Yugoslavia or aren't in the Middle East or North Africa. And they accuse it of invading countries that NATO didn't invade first. NATO projects its behavior, gaslights its audience, and confirms its initial assumption when Moscow objects. But that's NATO land for you. The unicorns roam free and all is sunny until the bear smiles. There's a striking schizophrenia among NATO's members, that is Russia. Russia is at one and the same time so weak it's doomed, and so strong it's demolishing NATO land. Russia is forever, eternally, endlessly doomed, always on the edge of collapse. But Russia has always been doomed. Here's time in 1927, and it was altogether finished in 2001. But dooms on. Has an open society doomed Russia to fail? September 2012. Russia is doomed, March 2014. Why Putin's adventure in Ukraine is doomed, April 2014. Putin's nationalism and expansion strategy is doomed to fail, September 2014. Sorry, Putin, Russia's economy is doomed, December 2014. Remember Russia? It's still doomed, January 2015. Morgan Stanley thinks Russia's doomed, February 2015. Secretary of Defense, Russia doomed to fail in Syria, September 2015. Is Russia's economy doomed to collapse? July 2016. Why the Saudi-Russia oil agreement is doomed to fail, September 2016. Putin's bridge to Crimea is doomed to collapse, January 2017. Russia's Sukhoi 57 stealth fighter is doomed to fail, December 2017. The Russian economy looks doomed, March 2018. Russia is doomed to steadily fall behind the rest of the world, August 2018. Why Putin's 5 to 100 project is doomed to fail, October 2018. And its soccer team too, aging and inexperienced, why Russia is doomed to fail, June 2018. You think with all this dooming away at Russia that no one would be much worried about it, except of course for the risk of getting bits of it spattered on you when it finally crashes down. Said collapse, confidently predicted 3 years ago by Alexander Motel, who, making his wish the father of his thought, declaimed that Russia might even disappear, quote unquote. As the new year begins, both Ukraine and Russia are making steady progress. The difference is that while Ukraine is slowly and more or less surely adopting a raft of systematic reforms that will make it a normal Western market democracy, Russia is becoming a failed state. If current trends continue, as they probably will, Russia may even disappear. So the doom turns to disappear now, it seems. But amazingly, Russia has become more powerful than ever before. Not even Stalin in his wildest dreams imagined choosing the next U.S. president. Yet even as, quote, weak and dying, unquote, Russia free falls, Putin has done exactly that. Quote, Vladimir Putin has a plan for destroying the West, and that plan looks a lot like Donald Trump, quote unquote. Trump being what Putin would design to, quote, undermine American interests and advance his own, end quote. Quote, Trump is Putin's ally in Russia's war to the West, end quote. But even before he animated his trumpet puppet, his tendrils had slithered deep into Washington. Quote, Putin's got America right where he wants it, and that's bad news for Obama, end quote. So Putin, although he's no genius, just another Brezhnev, has a puppet in the White House. But not just there. Putin, Asperger's, gunslinger's walk, lonely psychopath that he is, through his useful idiots, quote unquote, affects everything everywhere. Brexit, French election, Italian election, German election, Austrian election, Dutch election, Canada's next election, Catalonian separatism, Gilets jaunes, those are the yellow vests. Hungary's prime minister is a Putinist. And it's more, so much more. Russia and the threat to liberal democracy, how Vladimir Putin is making the world safe for autocracy. Moscow's unstoppable, quote, hybrid war, end quote, weaponizing information, culture and money, separatism, migrants, left wing, right wing. Sounds as if we're the ones who are doomed. In this race of doomed, who will get the final doom first? And let's not forget what Macron said recently, that the yellow vest protests in France are due to Russia and Putin interference. So even the French protesters blame, that is Macron blames the French protests on Putin and Russia. I'll leave a link below for you for this on Zero Hedge. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.